the top cop who put his badge on the line for justice.
You know the name Doug Poppa?
Yes, I do. God bless Doug Poppa, an honest cop.
I was elated, of course, but then as he testified, I was somewhat concerned for him, because I knew that they were probably going to crucify that man.
Sometimes the truth has a price. That may be the lesson of a Virginia police officer who says, in trying to do the right thing, he ended up paying for it.
The message you're sending is, see, we did it, Doug. You don't come out, you don't buck the system. No matter what the reason is, you just can basically keep your mouth shut. But if I wouldn't do it all over again, I would take the badge and I would leave it on somebody's desk and get out of police work. Because the day I can't tell the truth because somebody's pressuring me, and the day the system doesn't want me to tell the truth because somebody's pressuring me, is the day I'd leave the badge on the desk and walk away.
Poppa was fired for insubordination. One man who confronted truth and consequences.
From Las Vegas, Nevada, this is Doug Poppa, Truth and Consequences Podcast. Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to episode 118 of the Truth and Consequences Podcast from Las Vegas, Nevada, for Tuesday, May 17th, 2022. I'm your host, independent investigative journalist and former law enforcement officer, Doug Poppa. It's like the voice is getting a little better here. Got the air conditioning on, so I don't have these allergies that bad. Listen, in episode 117, the last episode, I mentioned Criminal Intelligence, Las Vegas Metro Police Criminal Intelligence Section Lieutenant Joe Herring, and that they were coming under scrutiny because of cash expenditures. Since that podcast, I've obtained a confidential Las Vegas Metro Police memo that was sent out last month by Deputy Chief Sasha Larkin, who runs the Criminal Intelligence Section. Let's get this on the screen here so you can see who I'm talking about. Okay. Sasha Larkin is Deputy Chief with the Las Vegas Metropolitan Police Department. She's been on the department for over 22 years. She oversees the Homeland Security Division that encompasses the Southern Nevada Counterterrorism Center, the Homeland Security Saturation Team, the SWAT Team, Air Support, K-9, the Armor Group, which is an acronym for All Hazards Regional Multi-Agency Operations and Response, and the Criminal Intelligence Section. So that was Deputy Chief Larkin. I'm going to show a better photograph that I obtained. And this photograph was taken this past Sunday in London, England. And you'll see the people depicted in the photograph. They're at a counterterrorism conference that's being held for 3 days in London. And I'll show who's here in this photograph. This was posted to social media, and somebody sent it to me yesterday or the day before. Okay. What we're looking at here is the gentleman on the left. That's Captain Dory Corin. That's Dorikoren. That's his girlfriend. I believe she's an attorney here in Las Vegas. That's Deputy Chief Sasha Larkin, showing her leg there. And next to her is retired Undersheriff Todd Fasulo. And remember from the last couple of podcasts that I did that according to sources close to Kevin McMahill, who's running for sheriff, the sources say that if he gets in for sheriff, Kevin McMahill, he wants that man there on the right, retired Assistant Sheriff Todd Fasulo, as his number 2. And there's also talk going around that I heard the other day that if McMahill gets in as sheriff, and we don't know if he is, there's 2 other people running, retired Assistant Sheriff Tom Roberts and retired Sergeant Stan Hite. But there's talk that if McMahill gets in, he wants Sasha Larkin, who's a deputy chief, is going to promote her, and that's the rumor, to assistant sheriff. So that's that's what's going on with those two. Now, I don't think Kevin McMahill was at this conference. It's a 3-day conference. I think it was Monday, Tuesday, today, and Wednesday, held in England. But sources, like I told me in this other podcast, Kevin McMahill's wife, who's a retired deputy chief, there's some friction over the years between her and Sasha Larkin, because I said in one of those podcasts that sources told me allegedly Kevin McMahill had an extramarital affair at one time with Sasha Larkin when she was years ago, okay? And his wife found out about it and doesn't want him going anywhere with her. And a matter of fact, somebody told me the other day that a couple of years ago, McMahill was scheduled to attend an out-of-state training seminar with then Captain Sasha Larkin. Now she's the deputy chief. And when Kelly McMahill, Kevin McMahill's wife, found out about it, the sources told me that Kevin McMahill canceled at the last minute, and he did not go out of state. It's pretty bad when you can't trust your own spouse. But considering this guy's history, who knows? Anyway, that's what sources told me, and that's between them. That's what it is. Interesting thing about Sasha Larkin. Remember, I think it was 2 podcasts back, I spoke about the Airport Bureau Metro cop assigned to the Airport Bureau. His last name was Gutierrez, and it's the guy that let the alleged sexual predator, child sex predator, walk off the plane without being caught. And his supervisor, and I put the contact form up on the screen in that podcast, wrote him up. Well, the supervisor was Sergeant Eric Gallegos. I don't know how you pronounce the guy's name. Gallegos. Some people say Gallegos, Gallegos, but Gallegos. That's what I'll say. But prior to Sergeant Gallegos being assigned to the Airport Bureau, he was assigned to the Summerlin Area Command. And at that time, Sasha Larkin was a captain still, and she was the bureau commander of the Summerlin Area Command here in Las Vegas Valley. Anyway, Gallegos bragged about this to all the people over there at the Summerlin Area Command. And he said that one night he was on patrol in a business complex, and he saw a car with the windows steamed up. And he went to check it out, and when the window came down, lo and behold, it was his captain, Sasha Larkin, in the car with another person. Now, he said he never saw who the other person was in the car, but he was totally embarrassed. She tried to explain what was going on. He didn't want to hear it. He just wanted to get away. And I guess he went back, and told the guys this. And I guess for a couple days later, Sasha Larkin kept calling him up, and he just didn't want to hear nothing. He said, it's none of my business. So anyway, sources told me that, so I figured I'd get that out. Now, let's get back to the memo. I said that in 117, episode 117, that Joe Herring, they call him Joey Herring, I call him Joe Herring, he's a lieutenant, was coming under scrutiny, the unit, because of improprieties allegedly with cash expenditures. Well, I obtained a confidential memo that was put out last month by Deputy Chief Sasha Larkin, and I made a screenshot, a video clip of it, and I'll have it on the screen here while I read it. Let's get that going here. Okay. And for the audio podcast people, this is from Sasha Larkin, Deputy Chief, and she says, "Team, want to share the very clear instruction I was given yesterday by 100. Just so people know, 100 is the radio call sign of Clark County Sheriff Joe Lombardo, who runs the Las Vegas Metropolitan Police Department. We, Intel, in capital letters, will 100% of the time include and attach receipts on our expense reports / chit sheets. This is a non-negotiable. I have confidence you guys can find a way to obtain one or to back and get one at a later time. And I put exactly how this was written. I believe she meant to go back and get one at a later time. Let me assure you, this message was made incredibly clear to me, and we will follow this rule without fail. Or do not turn in a reimbursement request without one. Thank you for your understanding with this matter. Sasha Larkin, Deputy Chief, Homeland Security Division, Las Vegas Metropolitan Police Department, 400 South Martin Luther King Boulevard, Las Vegas, Nevada, 89106. So that's further corroboration for what I put out in 117, and that was a confidential interdepartmental memo that was put out by Deputy Chief Sasha Larkin, my understanding last month, to the Criminal Intelligence Unit, the supervisors, the detectives that work criminal intelligence. And like I said in the last podcast, the Criminal Intelligence Unit of the Las Vegas Metropolitan Police Department, they do investigations pertaining to political corruption, cops under investigation for criminal activity. They work with a unit called TAS, which is the Electronic Monitoring Unit. And that's what they do. They do organized crime investigations and stuff like that. And over the years, like I think I said in the last podcast, cops have called that unit the Gestapo, the sheriff's black bag squad, the black glove squad, because allegedly, and I mentioned this in some podcasts, and I think some stories I did for the Baltimore Post-Examiner years ago, that sources who spoke to me said not all the cops in that unit, but some of them, they sometimes go rogue and they've done illegal stuff that they shouldn't have done. And I'll talk more about that in future podcasts. Now, I will say this, a lot of cops, I guess the Criminal Intelligence Unit gets involved when cops are doing, criminal stuff also. They do the investigations with Internal Affairs, the Criminal Internal Affairs Unit. And I look at it this way. If you're a cop and you're disgracing your badge and you're doing criminal activity, you deserve to get busted, locked up, and or thrown off the police force. So I don't have any, sympathy for cops who do anything like that. But what cops have told me over the years about the Criminal Intelligence Section of the Las Vegas Metropolitan Police Department, they use is basically a hit squad. That term's not the right term. I'll say hit squad to target cops who fall out of favor with the sheriff and the undersheriff and people up at top brass. And everything from illegal surveillances, I understand, to harassment and different things like that. And I'll get into that more because I got a lot of information. I'm going to mention some of this later in the podcast, but I don't want to go too far. I want to stick to what I'm talking about here on this podcast. So anyway, that's what my sources say, and I get it out. And like I said, if they're doing detectives in that unit over the years, and I was told some of them have, done anything criminal, then, like cops say, well, who investigates the Criminal Intelligence Unit if they do something wrong? Who investigates the sheriff and the undersheriff when they do something wrong? So there's a lot of problems in the Las Vegas Metropolitan Police Department that's been going on for years. Anyway, I want to talk about this here for a second. I was given some information. According to sources, Las Vegas Metro Police Officer Stephen Bolenek, and I believe he may be a detective, he was at one time, is allegedly the subject of an embezzlement investigation. Bolenek is supposedly in the middle of a nasty divorce with his wife, Robin. Now, Robin Bolenek, according to what I was told, is a civilian member of the police department. And sources said the allegation stemmed from his divorce proceeding, which led allegedly to an internal affairs investigation on them looking into him for alleged embezzlement. Again, this is what the sources are telling me. Now, Bolenek is assigned, and I verified that today with another source within Metro, told me that he's currently assigned to the South Central Area Command and was previously at one time a detective assigned to the Juvenile Sexual Assault Detail. Now, prior to that, it's my understanding that Stephen Bolenek and Detective Bolenek served in the narcotics section. And I guess that's where this stuff is coming from, this investigation. Now, at one time, I was told Stephen Bolenek was on the executive board of the Nevada Narcotic Officers Association. It's called the NNOA. It's a nonprofit corporation that's not affiliated with the police department. And Bolenek at one time served as the treasurer for the Nevada Narcotic Officers Association. Now, allegedly, from what I'm told, and this is what sources have talked to me about, that Bolenek may have used financial resources, maybe credit cards or something, that he had control of because he was treasurer for the NNOA, and used that for his own use, for his personal benefit. Now, that's the allegation, and that's allegedly an investigation that's going on. Now, I was also told that Criminal Intelligence Section Lieutenant Joey Herring has been going around asking different police officers and detectives how they heard about this. I guess there's talk, because I heard about it, that he is under investigation. Now, whether he knows he's under investigation or not, I don't know. But when my podcast comes out, I'm sure he's going to know. But now, like I say, okay, those are allegations, and it did surface, from my understanding, because of the divorce. Okay, so whether this is legitimate or something that was thrown out there by his wife, we don't know, because anybody who's went through a divorce knows on both sides, husband and wife, the BS that comes out during especially nasty divorce proceedings, which rumor has it is going on with Officer Bolenek. I think he's a detective. So anyway, I hope this is not true, but let me tell you what I did on my investigation. I get this information, I try to follow up as best I can. I'll put something on the screen here. This is a image, okay, of the website for the Nevada Narcotic Enforcement Officers Association. Okay, now apparently you can see from here it says treasurer. He's on the executive board. And it says Steve Bolenek. And there's some other cops that had positions on there. Some are now retired. Some used to be in narcotics, and let me get back here. Some are not narcotics anymore. So I believe that website hasn't been updated for several years. But at one time, like they told me, he was the treasurer, because you just saw the screenshot of what I found out. Now, what I also found out was, I get into this stuff and I got to corroborate as best as I can, is the Nevada Narcotic Enforcement Officers Association is registered with the Nevada Secretary of State as a domestic nonprofit corporation. And there are currently, and I have them over here, I'm not going to show the screenshot because I don't have it on the input, but they list 4 or 5 officers, directors, treasurer, and there is apparently a new treasurer. So, which leads me to believe that, and this is current from the Nevada Secretary of State, it just came off the website today. So it leads me to believe that for some reason the NNOA hasn't maybe updated their website for years. Now, I could be wrong, but I'm telling you, from the this record here, there's another gentleman that's listed as treasurer, and different other ones that are on the executive board that are different names over there. So I think that's an old one. But again, it does verify what I was told, that investigation is stemming from his control, financial control, at one time of that organization. I hope it's not true, because from what I'm hearing, from different sources, and I did a story on this gentleman, and I'm going to talk about that in a second. But that was in 2018. I did a Baltimore Post-Examiner. I was writing for the Baltimore Post-Examiner at that time. I did a story on Detective Bolenek, reference to the Las Vegas massacre, and I'll get to that in a second. But this guy, Bolenek, and I don't know him, I never met him, he's a Las Vegas Metropolitan Police Department Medal of Honor recipient, okay? It's like the highest award I think you can get on the police department out here. And I hope to God that this guy didn't ruin, his reputation is one thing, okay, didn't ruin his career. if this happened like and the statute of limitations is passed, I was told that still wouldn't matter to internal affairs or criminal intelligence who's ever doing the investigation on him, this alleged investigation that's supposed to be going on, because it would be, departmental, even if the criminal statute, they couldn't charge him because maybe it was over 5 years or whatever the statute of limitations is, but they told me it wouldn't matter departmental-wise. And I hope to God that he didn't do anything wrong because, like I said, he's a Medal of Honor recipient. And he got that award, and I'm going to play a little video clip. I'll give you some background before I play it. In 2016, and I'll read what I found out here. He was given the Medal of Honor in 2017 for this incident that happened in 2016. And that's why I hope to God he didn't do anything wrong. I mean, it's like, this guy's like a good guy, good cop, as far as I know, okay? But, sometimes people do crazy stuff. Okay, listen. On September 4th, 2016, dispatch received a call of a kidnapping in progress. Suspects had taken a citizen at gunpoint and were demanding a ransom for a safe return. This is a phenomenal story. Detective Stephen Bolenek responded to the general area of where it was believed the victim was located. Minutes after his arrival, the victim had managed to free himself and was now fleeing from both suspects on foot. Detective Bolenek saw the victim running and noticed one of the suspects attempting to arm himself. Knowing that the victim was in immediate danger, Detective Bolenek pursued the suspects involved. At the same time, the suspects had recaptured the victim and were using a stun gun to subdue him. Detective Bolenek confronted the suspects at gunpoint and was able to gain control of them until additional officers arrived. The victim credits Detective Bolenek with saving his life. Detective Bolenek is to be commended for his bravery. And that came out from Metro on September 4, 2016. And the following year, Detective Stephen Bolenek received the Las Vegas Metropolitan Police Department's a Medal of Honor, okay, for that. And job well done, sir. And I hope to God you didn't do anything wrong to ruin your career and your reputation, okay? But then this is coming out of a divorce, so, crazy things go on with divorces. There's all kinds of allegations, so you have to be aware. Now, let me play this little clip here that I found. This was a video that was put out by Metro back, and you'll see the date on it, in 2017. Let me get this thing off the screen so you can see it full screen. It's only about a minute and a half. It's not that long. But I have to show it because, as far as I know, this is a good cop, okay? Please, I hope you didn't do anything wrong, sir, because, I got to commend you on what you did here. Anyway, let's play the video here. Make sure I got the audio going. Okay, let's do it.
We started getting text messages from the guy who had kidnapped my son, demanding a ransom. While they were demanding that ransom, the level of violence started to escalate. The kidnapper kept texting threats. Eventually it came to the point where he texted a picture where he had punched my son in the face and my son's eye was bleeding. I never thought that I would actually be faced with his son running towards me and two gentlemen chasing him. It was just reaction. I jumped out. As soon as I had the opportunity, I intervened. They were tasing my son at that moment. They were going to stab him. They were pulling knives out, and the detective intervened. Jumped out and, like a hero in my opinion, confronted the two bad guys and took them into custody and saved my son. Ultimately, no lives were lost. And in my book, that's a win. He saved the day, absolutely.
Okay, there you have it, ladies and gentlemen. A job well done. He deserved to get the Medal of Honor. And I'll keep my fingers crossed that there's nothing, this guy didn't do anything wrong. I hope he didn't, because he's, that's, been on the department a long time, Medal of Honor. Now, I said I did a story on Stephen Bolenek, Detective Stephen Bolenek, and I did on October 15, 2018. I wrote this story for the Baltimore Post-Examiner. Let me get the screenshot, and I'll have the link to this story in the description section of this video, like I normally do. So this is the story, the top part of it, and it was titled, 1 Minute into Vegas Massacre, Police Detective Observed Paddock with Rifle Firing from Window. And this is a little excerpt from the story. I'm not going to read the whole thing, but you get the gist of what that article is. And this was from his office's report that Detective Bolenek wrote after the night of the Las Vegas massacre on October 1st, 2017. And it was a basis for my story. He says, approximately 1 minute into the shooting, I observed a figure in a hotel room on the north side standing in a shooting platform and appeared to be 4 to 6 feet from the window. The figure was firing the rifle out of his hotel room. I attempted to get on the radio to update the channel and was unsuccessful. And when you read the story, you'll see that he switched over to another channel to tell him, because that main channel, because all the radio traffic going on that night, it was horrendous. He couldn't get on. But in the story, you'll see his report where he had a set of binoculars, and he was trying to locate where the firing was coming from. He looked up, and in essence, of course, he didn't know it was Stephen Paddock, but he saw Stephen Paddock firing out the window. And there's a lot more into the story, and his entire report's in there. So, to me, this guy's a good cop. He's not a freaking slug. So that's why I say I hope what I heard is not true. Or, if they're doing this investigation that he's cleared, turns out maybe not to be true. Because like I said, everybody that's been through a divorce, I've been through a divorce, male or female, whatever side you're on, some of them get really nasty, and allegations are made that 95% of the time are false and not true, just to get back at the other person or to ruin their career. So, well, if I hear anything update on it, I'll let you know. But as far as I'm concerned right now, until I hear otherwise, this guy's a freaking hero to me for what he did with the kidnapping and for having the wherewithal that night to grab the binoculars and try to locate the shooter, and then called it in over the radio. So that's where it is. Now, I'm on the subject of Criminal Intelligence Section, so I want to talk about something that was really disturbing that happened several years ago. I'm going to play a video from News 3. It's only about a minute long. And listen to what the lady is saying from News 3. It involves now former Las Vegas Metropolitan Police Department police officer Rachel Sorkau. And I think the air conditioner's come on, so you may get some background noise, but don't worry about it. You should be able to hear it fine, or me fine. It only lasts a couple of minutes. The video is very short. So let's play this video.
Well, Jim, that officer was brought here to the Clark County Detention Center, and this all started as an investigation that started last September. Metro Patrol Officer Rachel Sorkau has been off duty with pay since December. The officer is accused on multiple occasions of using criminal justice information systems to give information to, quote, unauthorized people. Police say Sorkau also recorded citizens on her personal phone, which is a violation of the department's policy. In one of the videos, she's accused of recording someone's private area without them knowing. Sorkau was assigned to the Community Policing Division with the Northwest Area Command. She faces 5 felony counts of misconduct of a public officer, 1 count of capturing the image of the private area of another person, and 1 count of indecent exposure. And that officer is expected to appear in court tomorrow. Reporting live, Renee Santos, News 3.
Renee, thanks.
Okay. This was, I remember this. It was a freaking disgrace what this police officer did. And you saw the screenshot of the press release in that video, and I'm not going to read it because it's basically what the reporter said, but when they put this press release out, Las Vegas Metro Police, on March 12, 2019, they said as a result of the investigation, Rachel Sorkau was arrested earlier today and transported to the Clark County Detention Center, where she faces charges of misconduct of a public officer, felony, 5 counts, capturing the image of the private area of another person, gross misdemeanor, 1 count, indecent exposure, gross misdemeanor, 1 count, because she acts allegedly to somebody that exposed themselves to genitalia. And then it says booking photo. You saw the photo of her. And like I said, she's a former police officer. In October of 2019, Rachel Sorkau pleaded guilty to 1 count of misconduct of a public officer. Now, I'm going to read some stuff here because this pissed a lot of people off in Metro and a lot of people off in the community, why they had all these charges against her, and she was given a plea deal. She pleaded guilty to 1 count of misconduct of a public officer, which is a felony. But that was in October of 2019. Now, in February 2020, she was sentenced, and she was sentenced to 18 months of probation. She had to do 100 hours of community service and undergo mental health treatment. Yeah, no kidding. And she had to resign from the department, which she did. So she's not a cop anymore. But I'm going to read some of these things that the detective's investigation uncovered during this, because it was a freaking damn disgrace. And I'm just going to read some of the stuff. The detectives also noted in their investigation 19 different instances of Sorkau performing a criminal history inquiry on people for personal reasons. She sent the information to friends inquiring about data, including their own criminal history, romantic partners, roommates, and family members. So 19 times she was accessing the SCOPE system, which is the database to run criminal history checks, and she was doing this for family and friends, and then providing them the information to them that they were asking for their own, their other romantic partners, roommates, and other family members. Ladies and gentlemen, every time she went into that system and accessed and then divulged that information is a separate felony count, as far as I know, okay? 19. She wasn't charged with all those crimes. And I'm going to tell you what sources told me why that is, okay? But this woman, glad she's not holding a badge. She's never had a badge because there's something wrong with her. But anyway, it says one of the videos, authorities alleged, included a recording of a person's genital area filmed without their consent. Through police and phone records, detectives determined Sorkau performed multiple record checks for the man, the report said. That's how it started. Somebody heard somebody getting a criminal check, and they checked, and that's how this started uncovering. They looked at her phone. So anyway, let me go on here. While searching Sorkau's phone, detectives found 7 videos of 4 different people Sorkau recorded while on duty, and at least 2 videos she recorded while with another officer. That's important for something I'm going to get into here. And it says, quote, Sorkau would order these individuals, some of which were handcuffed, all of which were in her control, to perform a wide variety of acts while video records them with her personal cellular phone. So people in her custody, she was telling them to do things, and she was recording it. At least 2 of the people recorded were noticeably impaired, and Sorkau sent the videos to multiple friends and family members, including other Metro police officers. This is from the Detectives Internal Affairs Bureau investigation, okay? Or Criminal Intelligence actually was involved in this, and I'll tell you where I'm going with this. And then it says, in a video taken in April 2017, she ordered a person who appeared to be a, quote, mentally ill man wearing a dress to dance for her, the report said. In a text message to another police officer about the video, she called the person, quote, shim, a transphobic slur, the report said. The other officer had recorded the person walking and sent that video to Sorkau, according to the police investigation. In a video from November 2017, Sorkau told a male officer to force gummy bears into a handcuffed man's mouth. In the video, Sorkau was heard saying, quote, "partners with the community, feeding criminals gummy bears," unquote, a reference to Metro's slogan. The slogan is partners with the community. So she's harassing, making fun of this guy, videotaping this. Freaking disgrace. This is a police officer. Not anymore, but at the time this happened, this was. And other cops were involved with her. After Sorkau was dispatched to a potential domestic violence incident in January 2018, she recorded a woman who appeared, quote, heavily intoxicated, and she commented on the woman's weight and told her to expose her stomach, according to the police investigation. Sorkau and a male officer were dispatched in May 2018 after a report of a man exposing himself. Listen to this. At the scene, Sorkau recorded the man, who was handcuffed and appeared intoxicated, telling him to kick a patrol vehicle and expose his genitals through a rip in his pants, according to the police investigation. At one point in the video, Sorkau yells, quote, "Do it again," while, quoting, zooming in on the man's crotch. She also recorded a conversation with him and used a racial slur. Okay? Where am I going with this? Because, ladies and gentlemen, police sources familiar with this investigation, that's all I'm going to say, who spoke to me, told me that the reason why she was only charged with one charge, and not all these other charges, 19 times accessing information, handing it out to other people, coming from people's criminal history, okay? 5 felony counts. Everything was dropped to just one count. She never spent one day in jail. She was given probation, and a lot of people in the community at the time were pissed off about it, and so was I, and rightfully so. But I didn't know then what I know now, that you're going to know now, according to police sources. So if Sheriff Lombardo or anybody in Metro wants to come out, the PIO, and make a statement after this podcast airs and says what Doug Poppa's sources are saying is all BS, and they want to comment on this, go right ahead, because my sources say this information is correct. Okay? I'm going to get to something here in a second. I'm going to put up on the screen. Okay, now listen to this. I was told that after being briefed, remember the Criminal Intelligence Section detectives did this investigation. That's what I was told. And that after being briefed on the Rachel Sorkau investigation, Clark County Sheriff Joe Lombardo and his undersheriff, Kevin McMahill, ordered the Criminal Intelligence Section through Joey Herring, I think he was a sergeant or lieutenant at the time, he had been a sergeant at the time, he's a lieutenant now, to withdraw 2 additional arrest warrants for 2 male police officers who participated in the misconduct with Sorkau from the Criminal Intelligence Detectives investigation, who investigated all the stuff that I just read. That came from their investigation, from their report, okay? And that was made public in the news. But the public didn't get the whole story. So, according to what I was told, Lombardo and McMahill ordered Joey Herring in the Criminal Intelligence Section to basically stop the arrest warrants for 2 male officers who were involved with Sorkau, and you heard what they were doing with her, okay? You heard, you can go back and listen, okay? Who participated in the misconduct with Sorkau based on the Criminal Intelligence Unit's detectives' investigation. Criminal Intelligence, when I was told, felt all 3 officers should be held accountable. But for some reason, Lombardo and McMahill didn't want those 2 male officers getting charged, so they squashed the arrest warrants. Something else is going to be going on with this, too. That kind of bothers me. But anyway, let me continue on here. Their investigative work, the sources who told me, meaning the Criminal Intelligence Detectives' work, was discounted, tongue-twisted, by Lombardo and McMahill, who gave the justification that they would handle the 2 male officers through administrative punishment. And the source told me, like I told you, and this was never disclosed to the public, the sources said. And it wasn't because I never heard about it. Now, put something up on the screen here for a second. This is the front part of, do I have it? Yes, I do. Let me put up on the screen here. Okay. This is a story that was put out by the Las Vegas Sun on March 15th, 2019. And for my audio podcast people say, why do you keep reading what's on the screen? Because they can't see the screen. Okay? Titled Metro. Cops' misconduct included use of racial epithet, filming suspects' genitalia. Now, let me get back on the screen. Put my banner here back. Okay. Ladies and gentlemen, you're listening to the Truth and Consequences podcast. Okay, I think we had some audio problems there for a minute. You're listening to the Truth and Consequences podcast from Las Vegas, Nevada, episode 118 for May 17th, 2022. I had that up on the screen, ladies and gentlemen, for a reason, okay? The Las Vegas Sun article that you just saw, and it goes on, okay? I can figure out why I'm losing audio here, breaking up here for some reason. Breaking up. It's doing this. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2. Sometimes this noise blanker goes, this noise limiter just goes crazy. Okay, let me go back again. The Las Vegas Sun reported in their March 15, 2019 article titled Metro, Cops' Misconduct Included Use of Racial Epithet, Filming Suspects' Genitalia, that the day, this is what they say in their story, that the day of Sorkau's arrest, Clark County Sheriff Joe Lombardo signed her arrest warrant. Okay? Now, I don't know what that reporter did, but that should have been a red flag right there, because the investigating detective should have signed the arrest warrant, not Lombardo, because Lombardo didn't conduct the internal investigation. Like I said, it was conducted by Criminal Intelligence Unit detectives. So I don't have a copy of that, and I'll explain in a minute why I've tried to get it and I can't get it, because indeed, if that's true, that arrest warrant shows Joe Lombardo's signature on it, the media out here need to look at this. I think some of the media has that, and if that's true, they need to start asking questions why the sheriff signed an arrest warrant for Rachel Sorkau when he did not conduct the investigation, and he needs to explain that. But I don't have that document at this time. I'm not saying I will not have it in the future, okay? But that should have been a red flag to the reporter. Why is Joe Lombardo's signature, like he said in his story, on that arrest warrant? Now, in July of 2021, I found this out from doing my investigation the other day. Sorkau's attorney, remember, this is last year, and she's already been, she's on probation. I mean, this is July of last year, okay? Sorkau's attorney, Tony Segro, that's SGRO, whose law partner is David Roger, who's the general counsel for the Police Protective Association, the LVPPA. That's the union that represents the rank and file police. So Roger's partner, Tony Segro, July of last year of 2021, according to court records, filed a petition in the 8th Judicial District Court to have Sorkau's court records sealed. And looks like that was done because I can't access any of the records. But hopefully some news people out here have that before it was sealed, and they can, reinvestigate what I'm telling you if they care to do. If they don't care to do it, fine. But hopefully I'll be able to get some records down the road. Now, why was all those charges dropped? Why was she only charged with one count of misconduct of a public official? And by the way, I also checked with the state and the Nevada Commission, it's called the Nevada Commission on Police Officer Standards. They revoked her license, her commission. So she can't be a cop in Nevada. So they pulled her certification, the post-training, Police Officer Standards Training Commission, they pulled it. But anyway, everybody was pissed at the time. So I was like, all these, why was she charged with all this? She didn't even go to jail. They gave her that plea to one count. I was told by sources that a criminal intelligence detective, one of them that worked the case, had somehow screwed up the case. And that was why they had to make the plea deal with Sorkau. And that's what I was told, okay, from sources separate from other sources that would tell me this. So that's what I was told, that's why she ended up with the one single charge. So there you got it, ladies and gentlemen. couple of more things I want to say here. This is coming from sources also. We talked about the Criminal Intelligence Unit. I don't know why that audio went out. I got to check it. Sometimes if I'm not close enough to the mic, the noise limiter gets screwed up. I'll have to fix it, but I think we're okay. That's why I got the headset on. People say, why do you wear a headset when there's nobody else talking to you? Because I monitor the audio so I could see if there's a problem with it. So anyway, this is what I was told by other sources, okay, familiar with the Criminal Intelligence Section. Lombardo, the sheriff, and other sheriffs also did it, but they're talking about Lombardo here. Lombardo handpicks who goes into the Criminal Intelligence Section. Again, some choice words were used by some of the sources spoke to me about things that these detectives, some of them, not all of them, have done over the years. I'm going to tell you, when I was in the casino industry, I worked with some Criminal Intelligence Section detectives on some cases, and they were all good guys. I mean, especially when I was at MGM, 20-something years ago. Anyway, that's another story for another day. And they told me that the Criminal Intelligence, like I said, does all the political corruption investigations, and Lombardo sets the direction of the Criminal Intelligence Section specifically in cases involving political corruption. Who they're going to investigate, who they're not going to investigate. And I was told by sources that Sheriff Lombardo has squashed investigations that were being conducted on the Las Vegas Strip by criminal intelligence detectives. Lombardo told several times, different investigations, the intel detectives, the unit, the section, to halt investigations that were ongoing involving nightclubs on the Las Vegas Strip, hotel casino properties. Lombardo actually told them, one guy told me, quote, that's not what I want you guys doing, stop the investigation. And so we have to ask this question, why was that done? Lombardo didn't want to deal with, with the casinos, because, the money on the Strip, and he gets money from these casinos for his, like he does today, even running for governor. So anyway, that's what I was told. And I was also told, months ago by other people familiar with the Criminal Intelligence Unit that Lombardo has squashed investigations. And we just heard that allegedly, from what I was told, they squashed the 2 arrest warrants on the 2 male cops that should have been charged. And cops familiar with the investigation told me they should have been charged. Okay? So anything to do with political corruption, he controls it, tells them who to investigate, who not to investigate, and has halted investigations that the detectives were doing on the Las Vegas Strip involving hotel casino properties. But like I said before, and like the cops tell me, the sheriff of Clark County, any sheriff, is the highest law enforcement officer in the county. He's pretty much above the law, okay? He can do what he wants to do. And that's the way it's been for years, and I'm going to have a lot more on this. I got a lot more information coming out that you are not going to hear through the local Las Vegas media because sources talk to me. So anyway, that's what it is, ladies and gentlemen. It's 22:20 hours, Tuesday, May 17, 2022. You've been listening to the Truth and Consequences podcast from the desert of Las Vegas. My name is Doug Poppa. You all know I'm an independent investigative journalist, former law enforcement officer. I spent 20 years in the casino industry in Las Vegas as an investigator, and then at 2 properties, director of security, and then director of security and surveillance. Last property being the Riviera. That's not here anymore. They basically blew it up, and it's going to be the part of the convention center or something, from what I understand. So there you have it, ladies and gentlemen. Again, I have no control over anything, but I hope to God Stephen Bolenek didn't do anything wrong. That this turns out to be a BS allegation, and he didn't do anything wrong, because the guy's a Medal of Honor recipient and appears to be, by everything people told me, to be a good cop. So anyway, we'll have to see. So anyway, ladies and gentlemen, if you don't subscribe to my YouTube channel, please subscribe. Hit the red subscribe button. My audio podcasts are on a lot of platforms, the big ones being iHeartRadio and Spotify. If you can, support my work, because I work by myself. paypal.me/Doug Poppa. Anything helps. Like I said the last time, accessing databases and court records, this all costs money. Office supplies and stuff. If a piece of equipment goes out, like now I have a problem with one of the things I have to fix, why the audio went out before. But anyway, I know times are tough. If you can't, no problem. Just subscribe by hitting the red subscribe button to my YouTube channel. From the Las Vegas desert, this is the Truth and Consequences podcast. You all have a very good evening, and we'll see you on the next episode.